for rookie Quinn Ewers. And that starts Sunday against the Bengals. Tua threw his league-leading 15th in Monday in a loss to the Steelers that ended Miami's playoff hopes. Among 33 qualified quarterbacks, Tua Tagovailoa ranks among the bottom 10 in several categories, including those 15 interceptions. His 8 games with fewer than 200 passing yards, twice as many as he had the previous 2 seasons combined. Head coach Mike McDaniel explained the decision today.
You know, playing quarterback and being a starting quarterback and then being a franchise quarterback, these are all things that are very complex. I think this is a player that had, his MO had been growth and, just exceptional learner, and he's always evolving. You know, I still believe that his growth can continue, but I couldn't responsibly, play this next game when I thought what the team needed was available.
For more on this change in Miami, senior NFL insider Adam Schefter joins us now. Schefter, how do we get to this point with Tua? And now what's next for the Dolphins?
This was a seismic change for the Miami Dolphins, Kevin. This was a shift and them saying that we don't believe that Tua Tagovailoa is our quarterback for this season or really for the future. For them to bench him with all the salary cap ramifications that are involved is an enormous statement. If you look at the math and the numbers involved, he still is owed $54+ million guaranteed for next year. There still will be a $99 million salary cap charge that they would have to eat if and when they move on from him. It would become the single largest dead cap charge in NFL history. Now, the Denver Broncos provided a roadmap for how to navigate this and get it done. They moved on from Russell Wilson with an $85 million salary cap charge. They ate over $50 million in 1 year and are still eating this season right now $32 million and are still the #1 seed in the AFC. But the Broncos have a great defense. They hit on Bo Nix. They were able to overcome the contract that they gave Russell Wilson. The Dolphins have a lot of work to do to get there, and they're going to need some quarterback to bail them out. Quinn Ewers gets to start Sunday. Maybe he can come to the rescue. Maybe they find a quarterback in the draft, but somebody is going to have to step in to help relieve them of the mess that they've made with Tua Tagovailoa and his contract.
Since Tua's first season in 2020, he's 44-33 as a starter. Okay, Tua's on ice. Let's talk about the big showdown that is tomorrow night. Rams, Seahawks, and let's get an update on Davante Adams. What's the latest on his status?
Still think it sounds like he's a long shot to play on Thursday night after suffering the hamstring injury on Sunday against the Detroit Lions. Now, the good part for the Rams is the injury is not as bad as they initially thought. It might have been when he went down and stayed down after aggravating a hamstring injury. But it could very well keep him out of Thursday night's big divisional showdown against the Seattle Seahawks, and they would have to overcome his loss in that game. Not simple to do. Meanwhile, when we look ahead to this weekend, Christian Watson was in the hospital in Denver on Sunday night getting his chest examined, was discharged, flew home with the team, and actually was limited in practice today and said he should be good to go on Saturday night against the Bears. Football players are different. They could be in the hospital and then play 6 days later, as Watson is now attempting to do. And Lamar Jackson did not practice today. He was at home dealing with what the Ravens head coach John Harbaugh called a quote-unquote flu deal. So it sounds like Lamar Jackson is battling the flu this week. He's battled knee, toe, ankle injuries on Wednesdays in previous weeks. Now it seems like he's battling the flu. They'll wait to see if they can get him back for Sunday's game with so much on the line for the Baltimore Ravens, but typically his pattern has been to not practice early in the week, return to practice, and then play on Sunday.
And keep in mind, Lamar coming off a 2-touchdown game this past weekend, his first since week 9. Back with you, and let's go back to the NFL in the black and blue division. Bears-Packers meeting for the second time in 3 weeks, and first place in the NFC North on the line on Saturday. Green Bay won at home in the first meeting. Here's Matt LaFleur on the rematch now in Chicago Saturday.
You're talking about a rivalry game, an NFC North division rival. it was chippy last time we played, so that's a pretty good indicator of how it's going to be. And we just got to make sure we maintain our poise. And I'm sure they're saying the exact same thing I'm saying.
Love this rivalry. Love that they're playing for something in December. Two-time Super Bowl champ Booger McFarland joining us on the broadcast here. Booger, what do the Bears need from Caleb Williams Saturday night to come away with a win at home?
Well, Kev, he's got to be more consistent in the pocket. Now, everybody might say, but Caleb isn't playing well. Well, he's been playing well outside of the pocket on those ad-lib plays when he's running left, throwing back right, and he's looking, those Sports Center type plays. But they need him to be consistent inside the pocket and throw the football in rhythm to the open receiver. This Bears offense has been really good. They have a two-headed monster at running back and Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift. They can run the football. The offensive line is playing well. The one piece they're missing is for their quarterback to sit in the pocket and 1, 2, 3, let the ball go. Throw the ball with timing and rhythm. And if he does that, this Bears offense, I know they surprised a lot of people so far. They could surprise even more people because the quarterback take the next step. They could be dangerous come January.
By the way, he may have some time in the pocket. Caleb facing a Packers defense that just lost star pass rusher Micah Parsons for the season, a torn ACL. Book. Who needs to step up here for this Packers defense?
Well, I could list it individually one by one, everybody, but anytime you lose a player like Micah Parsons, that means everybody's got to carry the load. From Rashawn Gary to Edrin Cooper, all of those guys have got to step up and make more plays. Micah Parsons may be the most influential player that doesn't play the quarterback position in football. Let that sink in. His pressure rate was #1 in the National Football League, so no one player is going to replace him. But if you ask me to pick a couple guys, I'll take those guys I named. Rashawn Gary, who was the opposite end of Micah Parsons, and Edrin Cooper, who is a linebacker from Texas A&M, and he is outstanding. I think those two guys are going to try to take the load, but make no mistake, no one guy is replacing Micah Parsons and his impact that he had on the Green Bay defense, both off the field and on the field.
Even with Parsons out, Packers are 1.5-point road favorites in that contest Saturday night. All right, tomorrow night, the #1 seed in the NFC at stake, the Rams and Seahawks. They face off in Seattle. What's going to be the one storyline you're watching?
Well, it's a storyline we've seen. Oftentimes, Kev, the sequel is not as good as the first movie, but for Sam Darnold, I hope it is. Because the last time we saw Sam Darnold in this situation, where it's Sam Darnold and his team against an opponent for the 1 seed, he didn't come up so good. Remember when Minnesota played Detroit and the 1 seed was on the line? Minnesota lost, Detroit won, and so on and so forth. He has another opportunity. If the Seattle Seahawks win, then they could take control of the NFC and be the 1 seed. If they lose, they fall all the way back to the 5 seed, and they may be on the road at Tampa Bay, a team they've already lost to this season. So this is a pivotal game. It's a game that I think is going to change a lot of lives from this season standpoint. And also, Kev, while I'm on this point, I just want to say this. How is your first show without Elle Duncan being? Because Elle Duncan was an integral part of the 6 p.m. Sports Center, and she's no longer there.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out how you're coping today that she's gone.
It's lonely, and it's quiet. That's the one thing that stands out. It's very quiet. But that's why we have you on, and that's why it's Boog Center. We're going to have you on in the B block, the C block, the D block. Heck, if you want to close the show in the E's, I'd love that as well. Are you down with that?
I want to be sitting right next to you with the iPad and say, that's it. That's all I want to do. We'll wave to America like Kevin Nagandi does.
All right, we'll put it on the Christmas list. We'll see if that ever happens, okay? Right now, you're on the naughty list with all the stuff you've said to me over the last few months. But we'll see if that changes in the next week. All right, keep in mind that Booger McFarland is not leaving because we need him. We'll see him talking about college.
We're going to ride with the Aggies.
Miami and Texas A&M kicking off noon Eastern Saturday on ABC and ESPN. Let's stay with football here. Some of these early NFL lines you got an eye on?
Big game between Denver and Jacksonville. I would lay the 3 with the Broncos. Bo Nix at home has been practically, keyword practically, printing money in his career. 13-2 straight up, 10-5 against the spread, outscoring the opposition by 12 points per game. That is dominant. Defense this year, top 8 in efficiency, EPA, and scoring. Here comes Jacksonville on their 5-game winning streak. Who have they beaten? The Jets, the Titans, the Cardinals, and then 2 home wins over the Chargers and the Colts, who were severely banged up in those games. We ride with Denver. Nagandi, avert your eyes and your ears. We like Washington, plus the 6.5 here. Marcus Mariota, shockingly hasn't been half bad. He's actually been better than Jaden Daniels this year, which isn't saying much. And if you look at his QBR right now, it's the exact same number as Trevor Lawrence, who everyone's glowing over.
Wow.
Philly's offense is not equipped to put up big numbers and cover spreads like that. They're 18th in scoring this year. And then finally, let's take the Titans plus 3.5 over the Chiefs. This is the mail-it-in spot if I've ever seen a mail-it-in spot. 7 straight trips to the AFC Championship game, 3 straight trips to the Super Bowl, and now that you're eliminated with 3 games to go, you're telling me you're going to show up here for this game without your star quarterback who's out for the season and possibly the start of next year? Like, they weren't winning when they were trying to win games. Now all of a sudden they're going to win when they have nothing to play for. I think Kansas City's as flat as can be.
Keep in mind something to note here. The Chiefs-Titans game, unders are 7-0 in Chiefs games following losses, and they're playing this game, of course, without number 15, that is Patrick Mahomes. Joe Fortenbaugh with his favorite football picks. Kevin Nagandi back with you. Once again, our big news out of Miami today. The Dolphins are benching Tua Tagovailoa in favor of rookie Quinn Ewers this weekend against the Bengals. Tua threw his league-leading 15th pick of the season in a Monday night loss to Pittsburgh that eliminated the Dolphins from playoff contention. Now, the numbers, shocking. Tua's under contract through 2028. $54 million guaranteed for next season. If the Dolphins cut Tua prior to June 1st, the team will have $99.2 million in dead money for 2026. If they cut Tua after June 1st, they could spread the money over 2 years. On the scene in Miami is Dolphins reporter Marcel Louis-Jacques, and he joins us with more. Marcel, what's the locker room saying about this benching and this change?
Well, Kevin, the first reaction is empathy, right? Because Tua is still their teammate. He's a captain. This is a guy who's obviously put his body on the line more than once over the past few years. We spoke with linebacker Bradley Chubb. He said there's been a lot of quality quarterbacks over the past however many years who have been benched, and we're still talking about their careers to this day. So Tua's story isn't over yet. Now, also speaking with center Aaron Brewer, he said he feels like this is probably the best choice only because he knows Mike McDaniel always has the team's best interest in mind. And when it comes to the QB1 himself, Quinn Ewers, both players were highly complimentary. Chubb said he's frustrated the linebackers in practice running scout team this season, while Brewer went to call him both a playmaker and a baller.
Okay, that's the reaction in the locker room. Let's talk about a player that's not in the locker room, Tyreek Hill. Today on social media, he implied that he could be on his way out. If the Dolphins move on from both Tua and Tyreek, what plan could they follow moving forward?
Well, you know, with Tyreek, you got to go back to his Twitter bio from a few years ago. I like to start stuff and leave. So you got to take anything he says with a grain of salt. Even if he is suggesting he wants out, which this wouldn't be the first time, he might not really have much of a say in the matter. That's a $51 million cap hit next year. He's coming off a devastating knee injury and a down year the year before that. But if Miami does move on from both players this offseason, they've got 5 picks in the first 3 rounds of this coming draft. You can almost guarantee that 2, 3 maybe of them will be on a playmaker. But you got to remember, they don't have a full-time general manager in place yet. So we're very early on in that process. It's not a great quarterback class. I don't think I'm sold on them spending a first-round pick on a quarterback. There's other holes to fill on this team.
Yeah, the organization firing Chris Greer earlier this season. Keep in mind, Hill played only 4 games this year before tearing his ACL. Marcel, thank you so much. You know, Tagovailoa, I mean, the talent is there. He led the NFL with over 4,600 passing yards in 2023, made his first and only Pro Bowl, then signed a 4-year, $212.4 million extension in July that offseason. Since then, things haven't gone well. The concussions, the hip injury, you could see it all play a role here. His health, a big storyline in this story surrounding Tua Tagovailoa. Now, let's bring in Booger McFarland. We mentioned the potential dead cap hit. So what should the Dolphins organization do with Tua going forward?
Kev, there's nothing they can do with him. Like, you talk about the dead cap hit. I mean, who other than the Denver Broncos with Russell Wilson wants to deal with a cap hit like that? And I get it, the salary cap is going up, so maybe it's manageable. I guess you could try to trade him, but nobody's going to trade for Tua because he's not a good quarterback. And you could cut him, but do you want to deal with that? I think the only thing they can do is maybe you bring him back. Maybe he's a backup quarterback. But I think, in my opinion, we've seen the last days of Tua Tagovailoa starting at quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. And let this just be a lesson to all the general managers out there that feel like you have to pay a quarterback. When they gave Tua Tagovailoa $50 million a year, you knew this wasn't going to end well. Like, he's not that type of player, but these GMs feel like they have to pay these quarterbacks $50 million. And Tua's not the only one. I can go down the list, Kev. There are some quarterbacks making a lot of money that don't deserve it. Talk to that guy in Arizona. I think Arizona's having buyer's remorse also. So the GMs out there have to stop feeling like they have to pay these quarterbacks after their third year because that's what you do. If the guy's not worth it, don't pay him. And Tua clearly is not worth it.
You're making a reference to Kyler Murray, who had to shut it down the rest of this season. The Cardinals struggling, of course, the entire year. By the way, just some context, too, with the cap hit. You mentioned the Broncos. When they had to release Russell Wilson, they made the decision. That cap hit was $85 million of dead money that was spread out over two seasons there. And let's continue the Broncos conversation because that happened a couple years ago. And look at this one. The Broncos, the top seed right now with Bo Nix. They take on the Jaguars. Denver's going for its 12th win in a row. Jacksonville on its own 5-game winning streak. Here's quarterback Trevor Lawrence on the importance of Sunday's matchup.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big game. I feel like last week was a big game. Colts was a big game. And this one's no different. I mean, it's a big game for us. And at this point in the season with where we're at, when you've put yourself in position like we have and like obviously like the Broncos have and like a bunch of teams in the AFC have, every game is huge at the end of the year, which is where you want to be. So I think there's no secret about how important it is, but it's still just, it's a game and you got to prepare the same way. You can't put too much pressure on it. You just got to go out there and play.
Lawrence coming off a phenomenal game against the Jets. Booger, what's the key for him and this offense to have success against Denver's fantastic defense?
Well, Trevor's been playing well, and you got to give a shout out to Liam Cohen because he's done wonders with Trevor, getting him to play on time and in rhythm. But he's going to have to do it again against, I think, the best pass rush in football in Denver. They're leading the league in sacks. And so not only is the onus going to fall on Trevor Lawrence, it's going to fall on the offensive line. Can Jacksonville's offensive line keep Nick Bonito and Cooper and Zach Allen off of Trevor Lawrence and allow him to make those plays in the passing game? I think Jacksonville's got to run the football because if this turns into a drop-back passing game, Jacksonville has no chance whatsoever. And it doesn't matter if Liam Cohen is calling the plays or whoever, because that Denver defense is the best pass rush in football. And if they get hot, they could set the National Football League record as far as sacks in the season. I think this is going to be a tall mountain to climb for the Jaguars, Kev.
Broncos, by the way, can clinch the AFC West with a win and a Chargers loss. And like the Broncos.
By the way, Kev.
Yeah.
Are you like me, and every time you see Trevor Lawrence, do you get jealous of his hair?
I do. Yes. We'll talk about that later. And let's talk about the Patriots. Also in the mix for the conference's #1 seed, looking to bounce back this week against the Ravens after blowing a 21-point lead against the Bills. Baltimore still in the running for the AFC North. Here's Mike Vrabel today on facing Lamar.
This is about, Lamar and the Ravens and what he can do and his ability to stay patient and calm and then deliver the football or burst. It rarely feels like anybody's going to be able to tackle him until he's, ready to go down or to get out of bounds or to throw. That'll be a huge challenge, one that, we'll have to be ready for in multiple ways.
Ravens coming off a shutout victory over the Bengals. Meanwhile, of course, New England shocked at home with the Bills coming back. How should New England attack this Ravens? How should they attack the defense here?
Well, I think if you're New England, I think you had a lot of success against Buffalo running the football. I think you got to continue to run the football against the Ravens. The Ravens are going to try to deploy some type of defense where they come after Drake May, but if I am New England, I'm running the football. Travion Henderson has proven that he is a lightning rod in the backfield as far as a guy that can take it to the house from anywhere on the field. He's got a 100-yard kickoff return. He's got multi 50-yard TD runs this season. And so run the football, control the line of scrimmage, keep Lamar Jackson off the field. And I think if you're New England, that's the formula because you can't allow this to become a track meet. I think this is a super important game for New England. I think they lost after winning 10 or 11 in a row. I think now they need a reset. And a reset against Baltimore. Get back to who you are. Mike Vrabel's teams are tough. They're physical. They want to control the line of scrimmage. So no better opportunity to do that than against the Ravens and get back on a winning streak to finish this season off.
All right, with a win, New England will clinch a playoff berth for the first time since 2021. This entire time you've been talking, all I've been doing is imagining you with long hair, looking like Andre 3000. You with long. You said you're
Kev,
jealous of Trevor Lawrence.
Very much like Christine Williamson, I chose at a young age not to have long hair.
Yes.
And
yes.
sometimes, Kev, I think people look better with no hair. Christine and I are just two examples.
It works with Christine, trust me. You, good luck.